9 people are there in the room. Satyapriya, can you check?
Yes, sir, I'm checking.
Okay, so I think today the attendance is going to be on the lower side only. We have almost hit the halfway mark. So let's start with the session. Let's not waste more time. So first of all, I hope all of you are safe. Have been difficult times last 1 week or so. So I don't know how many of you are still in the campus, or maybe most of you are already back home. But my hope is that all of you are safe or doing okay. And I know the class experience could not be the same when you are sitting at home doing classes online, but that's the way how it is for this trimester as well. So anyways, we will try to make sure that our classes does not get hampered much because of this virtual setting. Though I think the last time, the first trimester, when we had courses like communication and all, we tried our best to keep it as interactive as possible. But for this course, it is even more important because HR is one course which cannot be just taught online. This is one of the courses which I feel that it has to be in the classroom experience. But let's see how it goes. So, as you know, this course, Human Resource Management, is one of the core courses. I also understand that this is one of the course that usually many people in IFT is not really interested in. That is not one of the field that they want to explore. But this time, I think in your batch, the good thing is that some of you have also picked up some HR electives. So that's why I know that some of them are looking forward to this course as well. So we try to do some kind of justice to this course online, and we will try to make sure that people who are interested in this course, they get the required kind of an information, they get the required kind of an experience learning from this course. Okay, so quickly I'll like to take this course forward, but before we do that, I want to start this course with a question. That question is very simple, that what exactly do you understand by human resource management? What is the first thought that comes to your mind when you think about human resource management as a career, as a profession, or in general when you think about that, okay, this is also one domain that I can learn in MBA, or that is the kind of experience I had in the past with HR people when I was in my last job. So whatever first thought that comes to your mind when we talk about human resource management or human resource managers, just you can unmute yourself, you can share it with the class, or if you want to use the chat box also, you can do that. So let's spend a couple of minutes trying to understand that what all we already know about this thing, and then we will take it forward. Yeah, so anyone would like to unmute yourself?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Can you, if you will raise the hand, we will try to give chance to everyone. Yes, let's start with Brijesh.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Very good
Uh,
morning.
so, what I understand is with human resource management, I personally believe it is one of the essential, what we can say, a skill or someone who can gain, because what we do is a business. Business is all about people, whether it is finance or marketing or operations. HRM or human resource management is the most essential thing. We deal with the people every day. We cannot talk to machines. We have to handle people. We have to build relationship with people. So if HRM is the most essential domain that we can see, and it's all about people.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Brijesh. So Brijesh is speaking very highly of this profession. He's saying that it is one of the most essential things that we do in organization. We look at people, we build relationships with them. Good to hear that. Rahul Raj, you want to add something?
So I feel like the human get like people coming together can be a unique selling point, and more than money, more than other things, are just the result of the people. So any company is being good, it means that a group of people coming together and building stuff, and for that there need to be a proper hierarchy structure and culture, and there's so many things which brings that productivity and the quality of work and environment to produce cool stuff and just build an organization.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Rahul Raj. So Rahul Raj is talking about how people come together, they build stuff, they build the organization, and that is why it is so important that we look at the human resource management. Yes, Satyapriya, you want to add something?
Yes, sir. So what I understand of it was that, like in my previous job,
they acted as a connect between the leadership and the employees. So whatever the needs of the employees was, they was communicated by the HR team to the leadership, and what are the leadership decisions they were communicated to the employees. So they acted as a bridge kind of.
Okay, thank you. So Satyapriya is talking about, how HR professionals or HR managers, they act as a bridge between the management and the employees. So we are assuming that, in general, there might be some difference of opinion, some difference of understanding between employees or management, or, when there is some gap that is being created, may not be deliberately, but it is there. So human resource managers, they try to bridge this gap. They try to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So looks like a very interesting, looks like a very important thing that we require in the organization. Good. Yogender, you want to add something?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good
As
morning.
there are many resources of a business, and humans are the very important resource of that particular business, and sometimes we have observed that due to less management, due to improper management, the performance of the company do not get as par it is required. So it is very important to be like manage the people, their conflicts, because if the employee or if the human are happy in our organization, then we can expect the performance at the par.
Okay, thank you. So Yogender cannot express more on things like employee happiness, and if we are looking at the superior performance from them, we have to ensure that they are happy and they are satisfied, and there this is where the role of human resource managers become very important. Okay, thank you, Yogender. Ankit.
Good morning, sir. So, sir, for me, human resource management means basically the effective and efficient management of people. It's about hiring people, deploying them, and managing them.
Okay, thank you. So Ankit has also provided us with the basic definition of what human resource management is about. So we are talking about the basic management, the effective management of people. We are talking about their hiring. They are talking about their development. We are talking about their management in the organization. Good. Let's also hear from Himanshu.
Yes, sir. Good morning. The first
Good.
thing that comes to my mind when I hear HR is hiring, firing, and salary.
Okay. So Himanshu says that when he thinks about HR, it's mainly about hiring and firing and looking after their compensation component. Great. So I think we have spoken basically all the high things about what this profession is about, what basically they are doing, all the important work they are doing in the organization, or they are supposed to do in the organization, and basically all positive things, right? Anyone who want to talk about something negative about human resource managers or human resource management in organization, someone who feels that that's probably it's not really up to mark, or probably it is not really that needed, and or there are organizations which can work without human resource management also, or without human resource managers. Anyone would like to say something? Yes, Ankit, you want to say something?
Sir, in some organization, whatever I have seen in my previous organization, so there was too much focus on like manpower, like whether the manpower is more or less. So they have always tried to minimize the manpower. So there a fear created among the employees that can get fired. So but suddenly the attrition rate went skyrocketed. So this I think it's a negative impact, has an impact in the lives of the people and overall in the organization, sir.
Okay. Rajat, you want to add something? Okay. Okay, so according to Rajat, sometimes HR does not really understand what is the need of the organization, what are their policies, what they are looking for, and because of that, there can be a lot of problems in the future. Wrong people join the organization, if I get his answer right, and then they have to leave the organization, or maybe the people do not develop themselves in the right direction, and then there is some attrition issues. Okay, Yoginder, you want to add something?
Sir, as HR used to track the KPIs, and he or she believes that everyone report to him rather than the team lead. So sometimes there are always conflict between the team leader, because employees sometimes see that I will report to my team leader. HR asks them individually that you have to report me. So sometimes these are the two conflicts in the organization because of lack of proper management.
Okay, okay. I think he has raised a very important point. I don't know what kind of experience you had in the past with your previous organizations, but this is also one of the major reasons why people or employees dislike HR people or HR department a lot. That they feel that they are intervening a lot. They are coming up for certain things which employees are feeling that it is not really important, and the important things that they feel should be there, like their compensation, their employee experience, their workload management and things like that. Sometimes they are being overlooked by the HR department, and there is constantly a conflict that who should we give more importance to, the line managers or the HR managers or the senior management and things like that, and things always in clash with each other. So I think that is also sometimes happen. It's absolutely true, and we need to understand that how we have to balance this thing. Absolutely correct. So before I move further, so we have heard so many good things about HR, and a couple of points where HR is not probably up to mark, where the HR department, the experience that we have in the past is not really 100% pleasant experience, or very comfortable kind of an experience. So I did my from my side also. I was just looking for that, what in general people think about HR as a profession, or think about HR people or HRM in general as a domain in organizations. And from internet, when I was just looking for it, I got some kind of input. So let me just quickly share my screen and show you that what all I have uh, got from the internet. So there were some basic things that we have already discussed, that how HR is very essential, and we have to focus on developing a good HR department, a good HR domain in our organization, to make sure that people stay with us, they remain happy, satisfied, engaged in our organization and things like that. But also there were some other perceptions that are widely spread, especially about Indian HR industry. So let's see that what all I have found on the internet. So when we think about or when we try to figure out that what HR people actually do in Indian organizations, I get some of the replies like this. So HR people usually are considered as those people who remain inactive for most of the year, and suddenly they become active when they have to organize something, they have to entertain sometimes the employees. Or when we talk about things like employee engagement, in one of the sessions we will talk about what actually is employee engagement, and is it a buzzword, or is it something which is really really necessary for the organization, right? And it's not just that. When we reach out to HR people for any of our problems, the usual kind of replies that we get is something like this. I mean, they are very calm, they are very composed, they would give you a very polished reply, but rarely we will get a direct response from them. Anyone felt like this in their previous job, that you want to get a solution, you want to get a direct reply, but all we get is some kind of this. They will talk something not straight. They will not give you a solution straight away. They will tell you that okay, we are looking into it, we are trying to find a solution to this problem, and they relate with you, they understand your problem, but there is no solution to it, right? So HR are usually, they are known for this kind of a thing also, right? And if we dig any further, then what exactly HR people are supposed to do in the organization, we will find that, like Yoginder was saying, that there is some kind of a conflict. Sometimes they act like line managers, sometimes they act like a support staff, sometimes they try to be friend with you, sometimes they try to be a senior management, like as they are making all the decisions for you. So the role of HR is again very confusing, especially in Indian HR industry if we talk about. So sometimes they are acting like something else, then sometimes they are acting like something else, and in the end the end result that we are getting is very confusing, right? So we don't know exactly what they are doing in the organization, what exactly they are supposed to do in the organization, and in the end we are sometimes left behind with a mess, right? So sometimes we do not respect them enough, sometimes we are giving too much of respect and they are not actually doing their part, and sometimes even the management is not taking them seriously. In fact, one of the case studies that we are going to have in one of our sessions, we will see that how their role was very important in the organization, but management probably did not pay much attention to it, and it led to a very difficult scenario. So HR is notoriously known for different reasons in at least in Indian organizations that we talk about is, and even when we look at bigger organizations which have a global experience, which have a very if you can say that they have a much refined policies and they have already tested it across the globe, even those organizations struggle when they are working in India, and HR as a profession for a very long period of time has not been taken seriously. But we can set it aside because what we can always say is that my organization is different, where we have the very refined policies where they follow certain standards, and that really does not matter to me. So you can always say that, and you can always deny the fact that HR is not taken seriously in our organization or things like that. But the things for me become really serious when a couple of years ago, when I was looking to develop my career in HR, or when I was thinking about, when I'm getting into academics, I'll take this particular domain and I would like to explore this domain. And then I came across a very big statement somewhere around 2014, 2015. And the statement was this. The statement said, HR as a domain will be dead by 2020. Anyone knows this particular individual, which is who is there on your screen? Anyone would like to take a guess? Who is this person?
Is it Kumar Birla?
No, not Kumar Birla. Anyone else? Let me
Sorry,
show you the.
screen is not shared right now.
Yeah. Just. Yeah. Would like to take a guess? He's a very famous, prominent person in Indian industry. A good speaker also.
Sir, Uday Kotak?
No. That's okay. Probably you guys don't know him. He is Vineet Nair.
With my
Yes, Vineet Nair. He's the ex-CEO of SCL, and during his time, SCL was at its peak. Not that after him, when he resigned or when he stepped down as a CEO, SCL did not do well. It's still doing well, but during his time, SCL actually delivered on global platform when it made a big name for it. During his time, only they for the very first time they hit the valuation of $2 billion. Vineet Nair, though he has been CEO, after that also he started his own consultancy firm. He's doing well, known as a wonderful orator and all those things. But Vineet Nair for me was very important because he was one of the few people in Indian industry who actually championed the HR domain for them. Right, so he always used to make statements. He used to make decisions which were more employee friendly, you can say that. He used to give a statement like, for me, employees come first and customers come second. If my employees are satisfied, then only I can serve my customers. So that was the kind of orientation that he had, and that is why he always paid more attention to HR policies and HR department, their role and what they are doing. And when he, in one of the event where the world was listening to him, it was a global event when people across the globe were listening to him, and he was one of the keynote speaker there. When he made a statement that HR will be dead by 2020, everyone took it seriously, right? And now we know that it's already 2022 and HR as a domain is not dead. So now we can probably would not worry too much about what has been said. But at that time, it was a big news, right? And it has been discussed over the forums for not that year alone, but for a long period of time. And people took it seriously also. In fact, some of the organizations, they started working in direction where, automation of whatever HR people were doing in India was already taken place. So they were of the same thing that HR is probably going to be dead by 2020, and if not 2020, I mean the statement stands true, and sooner or later that is going to happen. But let me ask you guys that why did you think that he said HR will be dead by 2020, or if not 2020 by 2025 or 2028? So why do you think that a person who championed HR industry, the person who take HR as a domain very seriously, would make something like a statement like this? What could be the reason behind it? What does he mean by that? Any guesses?
I would feel automation and AI can
But that
change
is happening for
smaller process. I
okay,
mean, smaller
okay,
processes can be done, but policy and bigger strategic HR and those things require human beings. And even smaller things also require human beings, like firing an employee. We can't do by a robot.
okay, okay. Then why did he said that? What could be the reason? Why would he? Obviously he's not a short-term manager, or he's not someone who is new to industry, who does not understand things, who does not understand strategy. He's not someone who has not seen organization as a whole. Being a CEO, he understands all the domains well, what is going on, what is important for organization, what is not important for organization. So why would he say like something like this, that HR would be dead by 2020? There must be some reason to it, some understanding to it. Anyone else would like to give it a try? Yes, you can.
There, I believe hiring can be done by using automation, using different kind of filters like what are our actual demands, and hiring can be done. Even team leader can do everything related to the measure of KPI, and it will avoid the conflict as well. So in such situations, the role of HR is will be minimized, and in such cases, companies won't give preference to the HR. So that might be a case of extinction.
Okay, okay. So Yoginder feels that things like hiring can be done, can be automated. There can be some software that can analyze few things, and then probably we can minimize the role of HR department or HR people in that. Okay, Satyapriya, you want to add something?
Sir, like the HR, one of the main roles was in communication. But like two things are there. One that you said was like automation and internet, like the penetration and all. So it becomes easier to communicate and in a better and a more efficient way. Other thing is that now all even bigger companies are going for smaller teams. So there's not really a need for connect between the managers and employees, because like managers are part of the team itself now. They're not a separate entity anymore, like with coming of agile and other techniques. So I think that could be the reason.
Okay, okay. So Satyapriya feels that communication is an important role that HR people do, and now when teams are getting smaller and smaller, and maybe the right word would be the process driven. So when process is clear, not much of a communication required all the time to interact with people to make them or on the right path or guide them on the right path. So probably the role of HR is shrinking. Okay, Deepshika, you want to add something?
Yes, good morning, sir. Sir, I'm not really sure when this statement was said by Mr. Vineet Nair, but after the onset of COVID, there was a shift in the working situation. So, like, we shifted to a remote working setup. And after that, many corporate houses were wondering if the HR people have actually anything to do, because they serve a lot of administration purposes as well in the office. So, that
Okay.
is my take on this.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Deepshika. So Deepshika feels that after the COVID-19 situation has come, there has been a shift in understanding of how all these things actually we can take forward, and what is the role of HR and things like that. So bottom line is that first thing, we know that it definitely did not happen anything in 2020, and HR is still there. And when he made a statement, obviously he meant something by it, and what we see is to an extent is also right. We are seeing that thing happening, and he definitely did not mean that HR as a domain will be dead. What he meant by that HR, or what HR people especially in our country are doing, that is already gone. So that is something which would not be relevant in next few years. And if HR as a domain has to do something, they have to evolve themselves, and they have to be on a bigger front, they have to do a major role, and if only administrative duties or the administrative activities that they were discharging before would not be enough to keep domain relevant, because half of it would be automated, that has already happened, and the remaining half can be taken care of by other people in the organization. You do not need a separate department to take care of that, and that is what he actually meant at that time. Obviously it was taken in so many different contexts, but what he said is, I think it's almost true. And with the advent of COVID, actually HR department has become all more important in past couple of years. Let me just show you certain facts, certain points, so that we can take this discussion forward. So when we talk about the major organizations, we talk about how they have created a system. So by system, what I meant is that whatever they are delivering, whether it is the products or whether it is the services, there are certain rules that everyone needs to follow, and when they are following these rules, certain amount of quality is maintained for those products, for those deliverables, right? So that is true, and with that, a lot of tension has gone down. We do not have to micromanage everything. There are systems, there are checklist in place, and it is taken care of on its own. Sometimes it is automated, sometimes there are designated people who are taking care of that. But still, even after that, a lot of organizations, they still talk about their employees. They want to evolve them, they want to make sure that they are contributing with their happiness, and it's not that they are being forced to do that. And that's how they know that their performance, especially in the service industry, is going to be on the higher side, right? So when we talk about places like Hilton, so they always talk about their employees whenever they are making a public statement. And this has been a case study also, like whenever Hilton is talking about their performance, their place in the industry, whenever they are talking about what are their future plans, employees have been an integral part of those statements. They always talk about that, what they are doing for their employees, or what their employees feel about themselves. They are constantly monitoring them, monitoring in the sense that they are making sure that their employees are happy, satisfied, content, and things like that. So definitely for an industry like hospitality industry, their employees are always going to be an integral part. That experience cannot be replaced, even if they bring in robots or whatever technology in the future we are looking forward to. I think this is one industry where employees are always going to be an integral part. And when employees are going to be an integral part, obviously you need a dedicated system for that, dedicated department for that, that will look after the employees. If we look at some of the Indian organization also, so like Tata, obviously we know champions in looking after their employees or what they are doing. They always again mention a lot about their employees and their happiness, and how it is related to their customer base, and what is their role in the service industry. And beside that's also a lot of other organizations that we talk about. If we look at their statement, if we look at what services or what kind of facilities they are offering to their employees, what kind of compensation package they are offering, in that compensation package, how much of it is the intangibles that is increasing year after years, we will see that it's more about making their employees as comfortable as their customers. So that has been for quite a time. There has been a shift in there. So when that shift is there, obviously the role of people who are going to implement these things become really, really important. But this is where there has been a gap. And this is exactly what Vineet Nair was talking about. So HR in India was always about looking after some administrative thing. Like Yogendra was also talking about, and a couple of other people also were talking about. It's about hiring and firing. That is the major understanding of what HR department actually does. That we meet the HR people when we are being hired by the organization, and then again we are in touch with them when we are thinking about leaving that organization. In between, whatever is happening, it's happening with our line managers. It's happening mostly with our departments. If they are coming to us, they are coming to us with some things like training, some trainings, or maybe they are organizing some events. Like we saw a picture before that every Diwali, every New Year, they will just wake up and they are organizing some event. They get to know, oh yes, there were some people in the HR department. So that was going on for some time, and for that they themselves are to be blamed. They were not really that active, but at the same time organizations were also there to blame, right? So they were not really paying attention to their HR. But in last 4 or 5 years, a lot has changed, and it has changed for good. and that has created a lot of opportunities for us also. So people were, for a very long period of time, if we look at that, especially us, when we were doing MBA, we were not taking HR as a profession very seriously, because we thought that there is not much of a growth, there is not much to do in this domain, and even if we join this domain, probably our organization would not give us enough opportunities to try something new, or we would not be in the control of our jobs. We would always be under the umbrella of upper management, and whatever they will ask us to do, only that much we can do. We do not have that kind of a thing. But that thing has changed rapidly in past few years, and that's a good news. So people who are now interested in getting into this domain, they want to make a career in this particular field, I think some exciting times are ahead us. So I was talking about, and like what Deepshika was also talking about, if we look at the COVID-19 situation, suddenly the role of HR has become very, very important. So this is the survey that was done in the second week after the first week of April 2020. And this is a global survey. This is not just limited to India. And since that was a time when, there was a maximum uncertainty about COVID-19. So at that time, we did not know the severity of this particular problem, what kind of impact it would have on our health. And that was also the time when the first time, many countries across the globe, that they come up with lockdown. Okay, so simultaneously, Earth was locked for a small period of time. Right? Whether it is a bigger country or a developing economy, nobody was sure that what is supposed to be done. They did not have health infrastructure. So suddenly, simultaneously, for a brief period of time, almost half of the earth, or more than half of the earth, was under the lockdown. Right? So that is where a major shift happened. People have to take their work home, and they had no choice. A lot of industries suffered a lot. Though it was, for most of the countries, it was just a period of 15 days, 20 days, but still those 20 days haunt them even now. Right? So there was a major shift, work cultural shift, and otherwise also there major shift, and people were uncertain about a lot of things. So this survey was conducted, and it was tried to understand that what are the top issues on employees' mind at that point of a time, that what would happen. So top 4 issues, as you can see on the right hand side of your screen, were about the financial security, health and well-being, family and productivity at work. So if you see these top 4 issues, if we leave the first issue aside, because there has to be some sustainability thing that we have to look for the organization, the remaining 3 things, they are basically the HR issues. This is what the HR people were supposed to answer, and nobody has an answer to it. Right? Top management, they can only do up to a certain extent, because they were thinking about the sustainability of their own business also, what is going to happen. They were not sure that in a long run what is going to be the situation. Right? So there were a lot of things on their mind. Line managers, they were more concerned about their own work, right? Because that was a very strange time. We were not just worried about our team's work, but we were also worried about our own productivity, because we were in the same boat. We were at home, we did not know how to do. Sales people, the marketing people were the worst hit, because they cannot meet their customers line to line. Suddenly their customers are in a very, very different space now. So getting their attention, taking them on board was not the easiest job. So they were worried about their own performance as well as the performance of their teams. So these were the issues that only an HR department could handle. Right? And for them also, obviously, it is a new thing, because they never saw this thing, this kind of a situation happening at such a fast pace and at such a large scale, right? But they were doing. So what I'm trying to say is that I think that was one of the first time, at least in the HR domain of India, where HR people realize that what all strength they have, what all they can do for their organization, what major role they can play in the strategy making of their organization. So suddenly there has been a big shift on it. If you look at the HR community of India today, in the last 2 years, they have become more and more active. They are now have become more proactive, and they are doing more things than they have done in the past 3 or 4 decades put all together, right? So HR has become a really, really important part of organizations today, and that is why, again, when I go back and look at that statement with Vineet Nair when he said that HR would be dead by 2020. Fortunately, yes, it has. So the HR that we were seeing before 2020 was a different. That was not an HR at all. They were not managing human resources. They were just doing the record keeping. Very few companies in India could actually boast of having a proactive active actually kind of an HR setup in their premises. Very few organization at that point of time, right? But now more or less every organization that we see today has at least a small section of their workforce which is actively playing an HR role. So that is why HR as what we used to see before is already dead, and a new HR has been born, and it is good for everyone. Right? Taking this thing forward, then let me first try to introduce that what we are going to do in this course. So I'm sure that you guys might have gone through the course outline. So till last year, this course was supposed to be a 3 credit course, but this year we has revised it, and it is now only a 2 credit course. So 2 credit course means less number of hours. Probably that is not really a very good way forward to take up this important course. But since many of you have opted for the electives also, that has given us a unique opportunity to trim down this course in a way that it makes sense to more people now, right? So I don't want to take this course forward as a pure HR course. I don't want to do that because not everyone want to or intend to have a career in this field. But I do want to introduce this course to all of you in a way that we have to make ourselves understand that human resource management is not just about the people who are there in the HR department or the HR division of that particular organization. Human resource management, as some of you have already said in the opening remarks, that it is all about managing the people around you. And that is why the line today that we see between an HR manager and a line manager has blurred a little, right? So during the COVID-19 situation, during these times alone, sometimes, not sometimes, actually most of the times, our line manager, our senior manager is actually doing a lot of things that an HR manager is supposed to do, right? He's looking after our health, he's looking after our well-being, he's making sure that we are getting the proper rest. He understands that people who are working from home are actually sometimes working more number of hours than they were actually doing it when we were in the actual premise of the office. So he's looking after all these things, he's taking care of it, he's making sure that we are compensated well also, especially for those who are despite this uncertain times has actually performed well. So a lot of things that line managers actually do coincides with what an HR manager is supposed to do. So I want to take this course forward, not just only from the point of view of what an HR manager is supposed to do, but what as a manager in the organization need to understand about human resource management. Okay, so as you can see that there are certain topics that we are going to cover. So as we have already started with the introduction of human resource management, I think I have set the basic premise of what we are supposed to do, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about the basic HRM functions that we have, a little bit about the HR managers and the trends that are shaping the HR management today. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the introduction. I'm going to talk a little bit about in the next module about the HRM strategy. So I think what I understand, if I understand it correctly, is that you are also studying strategic management in this trimester. So I'll just try to build on that. We will just quickly set up that what strategy means for organizations, and then we will talk about some HR strategies that at different point of time what organization do, right? After that we have got talent management, which starts with the staffing function, and then we will slowly move to training and development, performance, compensation, engagement, etc. So talent management, I am going to talk about things like job analysis, how do we collect information. We will talk a little bit about personal planning, things like that. Staffing, obviously we will talk about the planning methods, what are the various sources from where we can get the ideal candidates. We will take some examples. We will talk about employment test, interview, etc. There we can also talk about that, when you are appearing for these tests and interviews, what are the expectations that organizations have and what we can do about that. Right, we will talk about then about the training and development part. We will talk a little bit about what is employee orientation, what are the various steps in the training process, different techniques of training, things like that. I'll not get into too much detail because people who have opted for strategic human resource management or some other electives, HR electives, they are going to study all these things again in detail. So I don't want it to be repetitive. At the same time, I don't want you guys to be take this subject as a pure HR subjects. I want you to give an overview about what is going on in the field of HR. So I'll introduce every concept, but I'll not probably push you to go into so much detail of all those things for the two reasons. First, it is just a 2 credit course, so probably then it would take a lot more sessions to cover that. And second is that I understand again that I've told you that there are some electives that you guys have picked, so you are going to get into detail of those things in those electives, right? But don't worry, I'll cover all the basics that you need to know at this point of time, and obviously I'll try to connect it with what, even if you are not an HR manager, what you need to know in the organization from HR point of view, right? So that we are going to do. Then performance appraisal, I think we will talk about the various processes, methods, and what is the performance management as a domain above appraisal that we need to understand. Then compensation and rewards, we will talk about the standard compensation plan. We will talk about what is the competency based and traditional pay, some incentives for managers, executives, and various benefits like insurance, retirement benefits, services benefits. So I'll introduce all those kind of things to you. Then a very interesting thing of engagement and retention, we will try to figure that out. I think that's one of the major roles that HRs are playing today in the organizations. That how do they manage and retain the employees, and how do they ensure that employees who are there they give their 100%, if not more, to the organization. So we will cover that part, and in the end we will look at some issues in the global HRA. So one of the major uh, highlight of this course is that we are going to have more cases. So typically when we have offline classes, we do a set of activities like role playing and all. I'm not sure if we can do role playing activities in an online class. Maybe we will try it in one of the sessions and then we will take it forward. If it works, we will have a little bit more of those activities. If it doesn't, we will rely back on a more let's say workable thing, and we will make use of cases. So the entire internal assessment is evenly distributed between the three things. The first one is the midterm quiz. That will happen sometime after the seventh session, when we are nicely placed. We have been introduced to some elements of our course, so you can take that quiz after that. And there would be one HR term paper. So HR term paper, basically it's a simple concept. It's going to be an individual exercise. We will give you one situation. I'm planning to call a guest speaker in one of the sessions. Things have not been finalized, but maybe next to next week. And the person obviously is going to be one of the senior person from the HR industry, and he or she will give you one particular real life situation. And on that situation, you have to analyze the situation from the organizational point of view, and you have to give a solution, possible solution, that what they can do or implement to whatever problem or situation is there, how to solve that problem or situation. So you have to write a term paper. It's basically a 500 word limit paper, and more details on it, that whenever we explain the situation, we will also explain what exactly how you have to go forward with that. So 20 marks for that. It is an individual exercise, and of course there is a group exercise, which is the team analysis of case. So that is, I think, a very important part of this entire course. We have to take it very seriously, right? So team analysis of case. So what I've done is that I've already made some groups. You can check it on Campus 360. I've uploaded it a couple of days ago. So just like in previous courses, there are certain groups that have been made of 6 people. I think in some cases there is 7 people. 1 or 2 groups only have 7 people. Otherwise, 5 to 6 people in each group. And there are some cases that are being assigned. The case pack I'm going to email to all the class representatives today, and you will get the case back today. So there are total of 6 cases that I have selected for this course, right? So these 6 cases are being distributed among these groups. There are 4 sessions in this entire course which are dedicated only for this case discussion. Like the first one is coming up in next week, the session number 3rd. So there is one case on Alabama Tech, which we are going to take it forward. It is based on strategic human resource management. So the first 2 sessions, the case has been distributed to 2 groups, so that we try to set the discussion mode in this case analysis, that how we are going to take this case forwards. And then the next two sessions which are dedicated to the case, there we have got one case for each group. So in every session there would be two groups who will be presenting and discussing their case, and in the third and fourth session the two groups will have two different cases. So this course is going to be more about case discussion, because I want you to have a feel about, you know, real life situations which happen in organization, which are not only just the HR situation, but the people from different departments are involved in that, and that is worrisome for them. Like if you are doing a project and suddenly the key project manager decides that he does not want to continue in the organization, and you know, whatever contract terms and policies are in place that ask them to stay for 3 months, or if they do not stay for 3 months they have to give an equivalent salary. People are okay with that. They are giving you that salary and they want to just leave. What to do in that kind of a situation? Your project is going to hamper it. It would affect the mood of the team. It would definitely affect your customer. It would definitely affect your balance sheet. So these are the situations which are not just HR situations. These are the situations which are real situations which are happening in every organization, and the answer to it is not always black and white. It's going to be have a shade of gray. So that is where what needs to be done from HR point of view, from the line manager's point of view, from senior management point of view, from that employee's point of view. All these point of views we have to explore, and that is where, you know, these cases become really interesting. And each one of the cases, each one of the 6 cases that I picked for this course is you will feel that these are not just HR cases. These are cases that is actually happening around us. Some of those situations are very unique, but those unique situations can happen to any organization at some point of time. So what we are supposed to do in those situations, we will try to find answers to that. So team analysis of case is very important part of this internal assessment, and we have assigned 20 marks for it. 20 marks are being divided into two parts of 12 and 8. Let me just explain that what teams need to do. So for team analysis of cases, each team will first get 20 minutes to make their presentation. So they would first provide an understanding of their case. Also, it is why it is important is that because there are 6 cases, and I am assuming that every case which is around at least 10 pages or a little bit more than that. So everyone in the class is definitely not going to read the case. I understand that, especially in online setting. So first 20 minutes, or if they want less time, they can manage that. That's not an issue. So they will make first a presentation of the case in which they are not answering any question. They are not providing any kind of a solution. They're just introducing the case, that what has happened in the case, what are the key characters in the case, things like that. Okay, and then they would get another 15 minutes where they have to lead the discussion. This is the most important part of this entire exercise. So they have to lead the discussion in the class. Some cases there is a clear there are some questions that are clearly given during the course of the case, that what kind of questions we need to answer. In most cases, there is no question which is available at the end of the case. You have to understand that what kind of questions we need to ask ourselves, and what kind of answers we are looking for in this situation. So during the presentation, the team must be narrating the case and their understanding of the situation or the crisis or dilemma or whatever characters are mentioned in the text. And after that, when we are making a discussion, they can ask any number of questions to the class. They can answer any number of questions to the class, but there should be at least 3 questions which they need to answer. The first question is, what is the key situation described in the mini case? So this situation they might have already presented in the presentation also, but here we are going to identify the underlying situation, that it is not just conflict between the manager and the employee, or this is not just a conflict related to the compensation of employee, but you know, the understanding is that. And then we will pick up some OB issue, then we can pick up the communication issue, then we will pick up a key policy issue and things like that. This is what has led to this situation or things like that. So if they will try to first answer this question, the second question they probably would like to answer is that you know, what is causing the situation, what are the relevant factors. So other relevant factors which are there, we have to consider that we cannot solve this problem only from the point of view of organization. We have to consider this factor also. We have to consider government policy also. We have to consider this particular situation also. things like that. So this is where you will try to relate with what you have already covered in the class, whatever concept, theories, whatever different things that we have studied about that particular part, that particular domain of HR in our class already, that we will try to connect with that. And then the third question was obviously about your recommendation for addressing the situation. So in that also, what is encouraged is that you don't give them the solution. You do not give the class directly the solution. First try to listen to them, first try to understand that what all solutions they offer, and then on the basis of that, as a group, you can suggest that this is the most viable solution and why, right? And you can then probably demonstrate through some examples of other organizations if possible. If not, you can do a lot of creative work with that. You can do a small role play activity. You can show that how this problem can be resolved, what could be the conclusion, things like that, right? So these are at least the three major questions that we can answer. Don't worry, it is also given, all these things are also given in your course outline, so you can go through that before your first presentation, right? And based on that, the 12 marks is for the presentation. So how well you understand the case and presented it to the class, to 12 out of 20, the 12 marks is for that, and 8 marks is for the discussion, the quality of discussion that you lead. So 12 marks is fixed also for the entire group. So how you present the presentation, it does not matter to me that if there are 6 people in the group, all 6 have to present it together. That's not really a condition. Some of you might have analyzed the case for the others, some of you might have made the presentation in a unique way, in an interesting way, and then 2 or 3 may be presenting the entire thing. So that is completely up to you. I'll not ask that all 6 must be involved, but yes, all 6 people of the group should be present in the class on that day. If somebody is not present in the class, that person would not get any marks, right? Until unless there was a genuine reason and it was informed in advance. During the class or after the class, if you will inform me that I was not there, I may not be able to consider. Okay, so that is the only condition. All 6 people should be present in the class. It does not matter to me or the class that who all have contributed what. So those 12 marks is going to be equal for all the 6 people or all the people of the group. And the remaining 8 marks, how do you lead the conversation in the class, how well you involve the class in your discussion, how well you answer their queries, it depends on that. And there the variation could also happen if one or two people in the group are more active, they are more convincing, they are making this discussion more interesting, and following the time limit of 15 minutes also, then those people can get slightly higher marks than the other group members for those 8 marks. So that is how the distribution would be. Don't worry, the first time we will do this case activity, I'll give you a real-time feedback that what is working, what is not working, and things like that. Okay, but team analysis of case is very important part of this entire course, and I'm really looking forward to it, because this is where this course actually becomes interesting. Okay, so this was about the internal assessment. Anyone has any questions so far?
No.
Okay, great. So let me just so though I have uploaded this on Campus 360 also, these are the session wise cases that have been allocated. So session number 1, there is only one course, TS Tech Alabama. 2 groups have been assigned the same course. Doesn't matter if both the groups are making the similar kind of presentation, that's fine. The discussion would definitely be different, so we are looking forward to that discussion. Similarly, in the second section, there is a recruitment predicament. That case, we will take it forward. Again, it has been assigned to 2 groups, so we will try to take that exercise forward. After that, more or less, I think groups will understand that exactly how we need to take this thing forward. So the remaining 2 sessions, the third and the fourth session, we have given individual cases to individual groups. So total there are six cases in here, and all the 6 cases are very interesting. I think everyone in the class would really relate with what is happening. Even if you do not have any work experience before, you will realize that yes, this is the possibility, this can actually happen, and how to deal with those situations in the organization. We will try to find out those things. Okay, so going forward, going forward, like by this time we have already defined it. How do we define the human resource management? It's going to be a wide variety of roles that we need to play, right? Being a psychologist, being a planner, we have to sometimes, train them, teach them. We have to act like a peacemaker. We have to make sure that their career is planned, and sometimes we have to be like a detective as well. So we have to find out that who is the perpetrator in certain situations and what we need to do in those cases. So that role offers exciting opportunities now, and for good thing for us, like I said, now it is actually happening, and we are not just doing the record keeping. Uh, so let me, before going into HRM functions, let me show you a small video that talks about how that HR domain has grown, especially in the Indian context or in the world context also. So a small video that I have. Yes, can anyone verify if the screen is visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so I'm just playing the video here.
Did you know that the 8-hour work shift originated in India? The year was 1912, and Tata Steel became the first company to limit the number of working hours for factory workers to 8. This practice was then adopted by Henry Ford in 1914. In 1919, the Works Committee was formed in Tata Steel to handle complaints concerning service conditions and grievances. This was later institutionalized as the Industrial Disputes Act by the Government of India in 1947. In 1920, leave with pay, provident fund, and workman accident compensation was introduced by Tata Steel. In 1921, DuPont designed the first ever multi-divisional organizational structure. In 1928, maternity benefit was introduced by Tata Steel. In 1943, Abraham Maslow explored what motivates people beyond pure survival and introduced the hierarchy of needs. In 1945, the world's first educational institution dedicated to workplace studies, School of Industrial and Labor Relations, was formed at Cornell. In 1949, XLRI Jamshedpur was founded. Courses in management and trade unions kicked off. In 1953, Heydrich and Struggles was founded, a first in organized recruitment and leadership consulting. In 1969, ABC Consultants, founded by Bish Agarwal, became the first organized recruitment firm in India. In 1970, Sir Aubrey Daniels coined the term performance management to describe getting people to do what you want them to do. In 1973, McClelland started the use of competency in people management. In 1974, Larsen and Toubro became the first organization to set up an HRD department. In 1977, Rosabeth Moss Cantor, professor at Harvard Business School, published Men and Women of the Corporation, a landmark work on corporate power as it relates to women. In 1984, Wayne F. Casico addressed the need to justify the cost-effectiveness of the HR function. In 1985, the National Human Resources Development Network was conceived. In 1990, Edward Lawler introduced the concept of strategic pay. In 1992, the importance of non-financial performance measures was emphasized in the balanced scorecard, measures that drive performance. In 1996, Dave Aldrich defined the term strategic partner and identified 4 roles: employee champion, administrative expert, change agent, and strategic partner. In 2000, Ricardo Semler, CEO of Semco, Brazil, introduced a system in the company where employees could set up their own pay and everyone knew what the other was making. In 2008, Callie Ressler and Jodie Thompson co-created the results-only work environment, where employees were paid for results rather than number of hours. In 2010, People Matters, India's first 360-degree media platform for HR professionals, published its first issue. In 2012, Adobe abolished annual performance reviews and replaced them with a regular feedback mechanism. And in 2013, big data became the next buzzword in HR. The HR function has seen many phases of evolution. People management, irrespective.
So adding to the timeline, in 2020, COVID-19 comes and people start realizing that how important HR department is once again, right? So HR has, like I've given you a brief history, I could go into detail and I can talk about all those events in more detail, but I don't think we need them at the moment. Right. So for our point of understanding, I think this much information is enough that it started in India. We were the first one who started raising the voice about the work culture. We were the first time we talk about things like 8-hour shift and things like that. And we should be really proud that it actually led to an entire new vertical in organizations today that ensures that we are not being harassed or we are not being misused by the organization just for profit making. So we put really the human in human resources. And what we also need to understand is that among all the domains, now I am an HR person, so it's, you might feel that I am a little biased, but the thing is that when we talk about all the domains, whether it is finance, whether it is marketing, whether it is operations or any other domain that you can think of, the thing is that there is only one domain where we would put the word resource after that domain. So we do not just talk about people management, or we do not just talk about employee management, we talk about human resource management. So that is probably only domain which considers that what we are taking care of is actually a resource to an organization. Rest all, we never say financial resource management, we never say marketing resource management. No, we only consider human resource management, and there is a reason for it, because every other domain that we can think about just derives from the people. From the time to time, the people are the one who keep on evolving it. People are the one who contribute in the evolution of that particular domain, and that is why that is the most important thing. So all that discussion online and all that discussion on different forums that is going on, that automation is going to take away jobs, it's not the case. I do not buy that theory. The only thing that is going to happen with technology is that we are going to evolve in our job. We will have different kind of jobs now, right? We definitely is focusing more on quality rather than the quantity, but what we are missing out is that in every century there comes a time that some amount of work is being replaced by a new work that create new jobs. And when these new jobs are created, the same people who are eligible, the same people who are dedicated, who are talented, who want to do something new, who want to contribute in a new direction, they always get the jobs. And people who are redundant, who do not want to evolve, the people who do not want to really contribute into a new area, or who feel that this is a bit of a hassle, those are the people who always suffer. So that is the story that has been continuing for many centuries now. So that would continue in the future also. But rest assured, whatever the people say about automation, whatever the people say about technology, as far as I am concerned, people are willing to find a job and do the job. They are never going to be replaced. And as long as people are there, the human resource management as a domain would always be there in some way or another. So that is an important thing. And more importantly, like I told you, every manager in the organization to some extent is a human resource manager, whether the person agrees or not. In fact, though it is only our first session, but I want to make this a statement that people grow in organization only in three ways. The first step of their growth is when they enter the organization. They enter because they have certain talent or skills or some amount of experience, and that is considered as valued by the organization, and they hire you. So that is the first level of growth. The second level of growth happens when you start delivering. on whatever skills, experience, or aptitude or attitude based on which the organization hired you. So you start delivering on those promises, you get the second level of growth. But the ultimate level of growth that we seek, the third level of growth, where we want to lead the organization, where we want to be a CEO, and I don't want to offend anyone, but this has been a fact, right? So every batch there would be about 5 to 7% of people who would in the future ever hold a leadership position. By leadership position, what I'm trying to say is the topmost position in any organization. Obviously, you all are going to do wonderful. You are going to be in the upper level management at some point of your career. But what I'm talking about leadership position is the one person or the two-person who is actually leading the entire organization, who is the CEO, CFO, CHRO, people like that. They are going to be only 5 to 7% of every batch, and those people know something which is very crucial. Those people understand something which is very crucial. Those people understand few things which others probably fail to understand, or even if they understand, they could not know how to implement those things. Is that they know actually how to manage people. And with that, I remember the story of Jack Welch. I think we already discussed it in one of the sessions before in the communication course, I think, where that person was interviewed after he finished his term or stint of 20 years as a CEO of GE, where he said that I was a normal manager. I did not have any formal education in management, but I get along for so many years because I understand my people and I knew how to manage them. So people, we need to understand this thing, that organization is all about people, and people work in groups, and you have to manage groups. The better you understand groups, the better you understand people, the better you know how to manage them, to keep them content, keep them satisfied, keep them motivated, the better leader you become. And that is one of the key trait of leadership. You will probably study leadership in detail in one of your courses, or probably you will take up a course that is dedicated to leadership. There are a lot of things that you will see, but I feel that this is the core trait of leaders. Wherever you go, not just in organization, in general in life, whether you look at political leaders, whether you look at social leaders, whether you look at the leader of your family, those are only the great leaders are the ones who understand people around them, who know how to keep the people around them comfortable, who knows how to keep people around them motivated, and only those people really have the leadership material. You will get the position anyhow, but what kind of legacy you want to leave behind, that depends upon how well you understand your people around. And human resource management, understanding of it will, I'm not saying that it will give you 100% edge over the others, but it definitely give you some edge. And that edge, if you want to learn, I think this course is a wonderful opportunity to do that, because once you are in the job, you probably will not have that kind of a space of time to think about those issues in detail. Now is the time to ponder upon them. Now is the time to debate on them. And it is a wonderful opportunity where 56 or 57 other more people in your class are sitting with you, thinking about the same situation. They are debating over with you, they are arguing with you, and you understand fully that how people think about the same situation in different ways and what you need to convince them. So during our case discussions, I definitely want to look at those arguments. I definitely want to look at those deliberations, and I definitely want to see those leader emerges that despite the same situation being pursued by different people, how do they put forward their point and convince everyone that yes, this is the way to look forward. In fact, let me also make one bold statement here, that for every case that we will pick, there is no clear and crystal and clear solution available to us. Everyone would have a different point of view on that particular situation. Everyone would like to pursue that situation with a different solution, right? And none of them are going to be right about it, right? So because different people have different solutions, and all those solutions work to achieve a certain objective. So all the solutions are right and all the solutions are wrong, but there would be few people in the class in every session who would be able to convince others that yes, this is the right way, and they would be able to sell their solution to everyone, including me. So those are the people who probably might emerge as the future leaders, and they are probably the persons we will, as a batch, we should look forward to, that in future we might hear really big things from them. Because organization, strategy, marketing, finance part, there are brilliant people out there who will take care of that, right? And being a CEO is not about always giving the solution to everyone. It's about hearing their solutions and choosing the best one. So That is the kind of skill that you should get from this particular course, and I'm really having high hopes that you will get that. Obviously, we are upping our game in this trimester. So this course is not going to be like the communication course. We are not just going to do some series of activities and going to get some individual feedback on that, and we should be content with that. This is the course where we have to really pull our socks. We have to take this course seriously, and we have to compete with each other to show that yes, we have a better understanding of people and situations around in the organization, and this is where I'm going to excel. This is the course. This course is an opportunity to show all of this. Okay, so coming back to, yes, I hope the slides are visible. So talking about HRM functions, though there can be n number of functions from the HR point of view that we perform in the organization, but for our understanding, I divide the HRM functions into 3 different categories. Okay. The first category is the people knowledge, where we try to understand the different people in the organization, what are their individual needs, their talent, right? How to retain them, how to make sure that they are giving their best, how to give them compensation, how to plan for their arrival and their exit from the organization, how to give them rewards and things like that. First function is the people knowledge, right? It's basically the kind of function that HR has been doing for many years. In the beginning of the session, we were talking about hiring and firing and things like that. These are the kind of things that are related to people knowledge that HR has been doing for many years. This also is the domain where we are doing the maximum amount of administrative work. So record keeping, attendance management, salary management, things like that. So though this is also one domain which is getting highly affected by technology nowadays, right? So all of you, when you were talking about that recruitment process, we are using bots now to identify that which one of the following applications is the most suited for the job and things like that. So it's going to be highly automated with the use of technology. The amount of work that we are doing in this domain has reduced to a very large extent. Right? So people knowledge is the kind of a traditional part that HR has been doing. Then we have got organizational knowledge, which is one step further. So now we are thinking about what is needed in the organization, what organization need, right? So what should be the structure of HR function? So exactly what level of HR involvement do we need in the organization? Should it intervene in each and every function? Like if it is a very complex organization, so it has got so many branches, it has got so many divisions, right? There are so many conflicts in the divisions. Our organization is a very process driven organization. We have a system in place. We do not value positions. We do not give too much of power to the positions, but we give power to certain processes, right? And everyone has a defined role. So if we want to make sure that there are less number of disputes, we need to have a more involvement of HR into such a scenario. So what should be the structure of HR function? What is the organizational effectiveness? How do we manage the overall workforce so that we are not hiring more number of people, we are hiring the adequate number of people? If people are leaving, what should we do about that? So from the organizational point of view, not from the people point of view, we are taking certain steps. What kind of technology we are going to invest in, things like that. So that is the organizational knowledge. And the third function, which is now evolving in the field of HR, is the workplace knowledge. Okay, this is where we are trying to bridge the people knowledge and organizational knowledge. So here we are thinking from the point of view of workplace, that what kind of workplace environment we are creating. It's not just about the organization. We are not just talking about saving some money, or we are only thinking about profit. Also, it is not just about the people. So we are thinking about retaining the talent, and we are thinking about coming up with those policies which are more employee friendly. No, we are trying to create a balance between the two. So we have to look at a sustainable workplace where both the employer as well as employee is happy. This is where the strategic human resource management comes into play, which we are going to discuss in the next session. So we are talking about things like diversity and inclusion. So we are not just thinking about people who are going to get us results, but we want more diverse set of people. Like in our MBA program also, when we look at our class, if you look at the people, we are getting people from all different kind of backgrounds now. It's not that we are only taking people who have got 3 years of experience or more years of experience. We are not only taking people who are having a background in IT. Right, we have got people from different background. I think a couple of people from background in medicine also we are having in our batch. So we are getting more diverse kind of a workforce, because more diverse workforce means more ideas. They are accustomed to more situations, challenging situations that others have not seen. They have got a different point of view about everything, right? So we are talking about diversity and inclusion. We are talking about risk management. We are talking about things like CSR, which otherwise, if we look only from the point of view of management, is often overlooked, right? And of course, we have to safeguard both our employers as well as employees. So we are looking at certain laws and regulations that we are looking. So that is the third part. The third part we probably don't have to explore much in this course. That is more like a proper HR domain initiative that is there. So probably the people who have opted for HR domain, they would explore this particular third part in detail in those respective courses. But people knowledge and organizational knowledge, definitely in this particular course we will focus on. Any questions so far? Okay.
Sir, HR is
Yes.
for people. So why organization people do most hate to the HRs?
Most? Can you please repeat the question?
Sir, HR position is all about to serve people, ask them, and especially for the people. But in the organizations, people do like hate the HR most. Why? In my opinion.
Hate the HR most. Okay. So I think this is where I try to answer in the beginning also, like when I was showing you those slides, that when I checked on internet that what does people think in general about HR. They think that HR become active only at the time of events, or HR are the people who will have a polished tone, but they would rarely answer any relevant question or give you a solution. So like I've said it before, HR as a domain was taken uh, uh, really not taken seriously by organization in the past. I'm talking from the Indian point of view. There are some organizations at the global level, especially in European organization, where HR right from the beginning has been taken very seriously, and there you will not have this notion that HR people are hated the most, right? But Indian context, I do agree with you. For a very long period of time, HR has a very limited role to play, mostly administrative tasks, right? They would schedule meetings. They would during the hiring period, they would contact the people. They would ask them to come, would just communicate with them that whether they are hired, not hired, what compensation they are going to get. They did not even at times play a role in the negotiation of salaries and things like that, which are considered to be very important, especially from our point of view. But and that is why I think probably what you have said, the notion is that we don't like HR people, or hate is a very strong word, but I would say that they do not really give much importance to what HR people are saying, because according to them, HR people never really have a mind of their own. But that notion has changed drastically in past few years. And if you will see the HR community today in India, it has become really proactive, especially after the COVID. Like Deepshika was saying, there was a need for change, and I think that change has come for good. And now I think, except for few organizations, if you look at all the bigger players, if you look at all the organizations that you are going to be concerned with in near future, you will feel that that role has definitely changed. And HR people are not hated. In fact, they are given due importance in there, and they are playing their role also. Like, they are not just dodging the situation anymore, which was happening few years back. Now they are facing the situation, they are offering the solution. And of course, when we will talk about the strategic human resource management, we will see that it has to be the responsibility of both. The management has to take HR seriously, and HR has to take seriously the management process. Then only it can work. So that is there. I would not use the word hate here, but yes, HR people were not really taken seriously before, but yes, that thing is changing. Now, again, I'm not trying to oversell it, because like I've made it very clear that this course is not about what HR should do. It's more about what we should know about HR, so that whatever role we are going to play in the organization, we understand that point of view also, and that would help us to become a better leader in the future, which we all aspire to be. So if the benchmark is 5 to 7% of each batch get that leadership role, let's try to extend it to 10% at least. And I'm guaranteeing you, if you pay attention to this part, which at this point of time we do not have time to really explore this particular role, but in the future, if you really want to be in that space, you need to have some understanding of it. If you do that, if you take it in that spirit, I think it's going to help really well to all of you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so little bit more about HRM functions, and then we will close this class. So like I said, we have got three classifications for HRM functions: people knowledge, organizational knowledge, and a blend of it, which we call as workplace knowledge. Workplace knowledge, we will touch little bit of that, but not mostly in this course. That is more designed for the electives that people have opted for. People knowledge and organizational knowledge that we are going to cover in this particular course. The HRM function that we are specifically focusing on is definitely the talent management part, which includes first the staffing. So staffing is about finding the right people, selecting them, placing them, then looking after their development, so training and development, nurturing their skills. Then the motivation. In motivation, we will talk about a lot of things. We will talk about their compensation, their rewards, their engagement exercise, things like that. And maintenance, where we will talk about their retention. That again is a complex mixture of what we have studied in OB in the past, and of course what all we have studied in the past three functions of HRM function. So keeping employees from moving from organization, that is the major headache that most organizations now are facing across the globe. So how to make sure that their talented employees stay back, because what these organizations are facing today is that their talented workforce, the part of it is always switching the jobs, and the part that they are not really so interested in, or interest is the wrong word, they are not really looking forward to those section of people, they are okay with staying back in the organization. So that is also doing some harm, because the next person who comes into the organization, however talented he or she is, only get inspired with the set of people who are there in the organization. So they become more like that. So organization have a big headache to keep those people, the right set of people inside the organization, so that the next people who are coming in get inspired with those right intentions. So that is also an interesting part that we will try to explore in this particular course. Sorry. So this is the basic idea of HRM function. I'll not try to take any further from it today. I think it's going to be a little heavy. In the next session, what I have planned is that there is a small caselet that I have placed on Campus 360. Okay, it's I think it is named also caselet for session 2. So it's a half a page caselet. Just go through it. A simple HR situation is given in that. Right, you don't have to work on anything on it. You just read that caselet before coming to the next class, and we will spend maybe 10 to 15 minutes on that caselet before we move to this next part of this particular course, that is strategic human resource management. Okay, so so today's class we will end on this note. If you feel that you are a little bit excited about this course, or you think that whatever has been discussed in the session today, though there was nothing like we discussed anything specific to the course, I just give you a highlight of what we are going to do in this course this trimester. If you have understood that, if you feel that yes, this is what I want to know, just use your chat box and type yes, so that I get to know that we are on the same page. Can you do that? Let's see how many people respond to the chat box. Okay, I've got 1 yes, 2, 3. Great. Very awesome. So if more than 10 people are saying yes, that means that we are on the right page. We are taking this course forward in the right direction. Great, good. So I'm also looking forward to take up this course with you guys. Of course, like I said, it has been really great if we had been in the actual classroom, and I really hope that it would be the case, but suddenly the things changed, and we could not really do that. But anyways, I'm sure that we will meet again in the classroom settings in maybe in the future trimesters. That would be the ideal thing, but we will try to make the most of this case, and I'm really excited and happy for this. I hope you two are looking forward to it. Just go through the materials which are uploaded on the Campus 360 ones during the weekend, and I think from the next class onward, we will go in the full flow. Thank you for joining today. See you in the next class.